3, 2, 1, and you're on.
Okay. Do we need an official introduction?
Yeah, introduce yourself. You know, I'm Sadie from VidMag.
I'm Sadie. I'm from VidMag. Joey Ramone. He's not from VidMag. He's from...
I'm from the Ramone.
From the Ramone.
Right.
You may have guessed that. And we're here in Columbus.
You might have guessed that, you know.
Talking about whatever we came to talk about. Talking about your non-tour. I guess it's not an official tour.
No, we just we've been on tour all year. We've been in Europe because the band's really big there now, and so we spend most of our time there. And we just came back from a month tour of Spain, where we recorded a live album in Barcelona that's coming out this summer, and it's going to contain about 32 songs or so. And
pretty much the
sounds
same set.
great. Well, pretty much the same, but there's some additional songs. There's like Ignorance is Bliss and Carbon and Not Glue and a whole bunch of, you know. So it's really good. Sounds great. You know.
So this isn't the tag end of that tour so much, or just?
No, we just, because we're always touring, whether we have a new album out or not, and
Play.
yeah, we like to play, and
any particular reason why the Midwest area?
Well, we got a really good offer to play Detroit. That's the show tomorrow. I think it's a new club or something.
All right.
And I think it's sort of like they want us to christen it or something. Right. And so since we got the off of Detroit, we decided to do like a short Midwestern stint, which we did Allentown, Pennsylvania yesterday, and tonight Columbus, and then tomorrow's Detroit, and then I think it's Cincinnati, and then Pittsburgh.
Oh,
and we haven't been here in a while, so it's fun to be back. And then we do a South American tour, leaving on the 24th, and we're doing Brazil and Argentina.
Brazil's a pretty big country for a lot of underground music, isn't it? Seems like.
Yeah, well, they're really on the ball. I mean, a lot of people think that a lot of the European countries are they really don't know too much, or you'd be really surprised. Like we played Yugoslavia for the first time a couple of months ago, and they're like a lot hipper than a lot of like American cities. They know everything that's going on in America, and they know everything that's they know all about music history and everything. And,
I know there's Cleveland bands that have done, like Perubu for one, did far better in Europe than they ever did, certainly in Cleveland.
Well, they understand certain kinds of music a lot better over there. I mean, more music and more innovative music or original music they really get off on. I mean, they really love us over there because we pioneered a whole new sound and style that everybody sort of has adapted to their styles and kind of interjected themselves, creating their own whatever, But I mean, nowadays, the Ramone sound is really kind of the sound, and especially, in European bands and English bands, but really in everything that's really good, right from the Sex Pistols through to Metallica to Jane's Addiction or Red Hot Chili Peppers or whoever it is, and it makes you feel good, because we never really got our justice in America as far as, maybe chart success or whatever, or radio play or whatever, but we always maintained and we always kind of did it on our own terms, and we never compromised ourselves, and we always retained our initial vision and morals and ideals, and so you feel really good about people kind of adapting your sound to their styles too.
Your sound has been pretty long lasting. I mean, it stayed pretty much true to itself over the years.
Yeah, it's an exciting sound and style, and it's exciting hearing it in the foundations of bands like Jane's Addiction and stuff, who I really like. I love the new album. I think it's one of the most refreshing records I've heard, or bands I've heard in years, because they're really, Perry, he's really creative and artistic, and that album, the new album, second album, it's like just loaded with great stuff. It's really exciting. And
Well, they're strong. They really have their own sound and their own identity.
yeah, they have a real vision and real personality. Every song's got its own characteristics and personality. And I mean, a song like 3 Days, I mean, I haven't heard anything that like exciting or, since maybe the 60s or something as far as, I mean, that's like that song's like an odyssey, you know what I mean? It's like about a good 10-15 minute song or so, but it just keeps changing and evolving. Oh, it's fucking great.
I don't have the new one yet to sit and listen
It's
to.
great, it's great, it's great. It's not like listening to a record.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's a lot of great bands out now, but this is like a real experience, because it's like, it's not just one style, it's so many styles, but it's really,
But it's blended
it's
into
really
a whole
like
that's
woven,
there.
like, it's like real, it's like amazing. It's really like genius, I think.
I guess if we're talking about other bands, we could mention Motorhead and their
I always love
tribute to you.
Motorhead, and that's, to me, it's like a real ultimate honor, because Lemmy, like ourselves, Motorhead, like ourselves, have always maintained their credibility and integrity, and always had a vision and stuck by it too. And
Yeah.
always, I mean, I feel, them and ourselves are like the two bands that really, stuck to it and really go out there and blow you away, and in a lot of ways I see Lemmy, I mean, him writing, the band writing the song as a tribute to ourselves. I mean, bands like that, first of all, don't write tributes to other bands.
Yeah.
People that have been out there struggling for so many years. But so that's even makes it better. And I mean, Lemmy's like a real meaty kind of guy. Motorhead is a band with substance, and in a lot of ways, to me, it's almost as if, there's like, I don't know, it could have been, I mean, I kind of see like Lemmy doing this, it's almost like as if, John Lennon, the equivalent of John Lennon writing a song about it, you know what I mean? Because in the 90s, there aren't people, or rock people or anything, there are very few people that really are unique individuals that really have distinct personality and character and color,
So much of it, especially with, at least to me, it seems like a lot of what comes out of LA is so just, rubber stamps.
I mean, there's so much, everything is so superficial now and before, and I mean, there aren't many people, I mean, there aren't, in the 60s there were like, unique individuals like, John Lennon, the Beatles, there was Hendrix, there was, Jim Morrison, there was whoever there was, I mean, the Stones and the Kinks and the Stooges and the MC5, I mean, everybody was distinct and unique. And nowadays, everybody's a clone of a clone. These people don't have the slightest idea why they're in rock and roll. I mean, it's just an ego thing and, a pickup thing, and, way ahead we were in a rock and roll band, And like, they have no mind, and nothing unique or, it's just total white bread,
So much of it's been packaged and sold to young people too, though. I mean, it's to be a rock star is dangled in front of you just like to be a sports star or anything else. It's not a rebellious. There's an element of it certainly in punk. There is much more, but.
Oh yeah, well, there's no rebellion whatsoever in like heavy metal nowadays, or whatever the so-called rock and roll of the late 80s and 90s. I mean, there's nothing really very much. I mean, there's like a minority of people who are doing really good things, like the Chili Peppers and Jane's Addiction and who else?
Well, I like Ministry myself. I think they, them and their various spin-off bands are, that's a different genre of music.
Yeah,
somewhat,
but they're included because they're part of the minority. But I mean, the minority is getting a lot larger, and also the minority isn't like a subculture anymore. It's an above culture kind of thing. That's really kind of the dominant force, because even though it's a small amount of people that are doing good things, they're definitely an influence on the majority, because those people want to be cool. They want to be doing
Right.
something that's got credibility. They want to be credible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that people don't learn how to develop their own credibility a lot of times. You
No,
know, just
that's
sort
why
of-
they all sound like,
Whoever
like,
is currently the one to
Right,
sound like.
right. That kind of the industrial thing. They'll sound like whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Or they'll sound like it seems like everybody's trying to sound like the Chili Peppers now, or
Yeah, the funk
Addiction.
metal sound.
Right. I mean, just the way everyone tries to sound like the Ramones too, except but the Ramones have always sort of, it's like the commercialism has never been with us, and it's always been more obscure. But I like that.
I wanted to ask you how well you've done, or maybe not well, with all your videos and stuff. Have you had much trouble getting them shown? Or?
Yeah, we were always censored by MTV. We were, matter of fact, the first band to be censored, which
really?
I never understood, because Psychotherapy to me
That's a good video.
was great art, I felt.
Uh-huh.
But right around the time that Psychotherapy came out, Thriller came out, and like to me that's offensive and that's violent and that's
That's good.
I wouldn't want my 5-year-old daughter watch. I mean, you know what I mean?
I don't think mine have seen Thriller yet.
I mean, I don't have one, but but I mean, it's just that I think that's
Yeah, well, I know my kids would be scared by
that's
Thriller.
sick. That was I mean.
But they know the lyrics to beat on the breath.
Yeah. Well, we have a home video out now called Lifestyles of the Ramones that's done very well, and it's the fucked up thing about it is it was because gold on for home video is certified 25,000. We were 23,000, and we're like 2,000 away from gold status, which we never had anything that was gold yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Really?
it was really exciting because it really took off, and no, not here, and it was exciting, that it was going to be, because it was outselling Madonna and Faith No More. It was like the top 5, the best out of out of 100 home videos, it was top 5. Which was really cool.
So is it like a collection of the videos you've done, or live stuff? Or
Yeah, it's there's all the videos we've done.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are being unreleased, and it's the uncensored versions of a lot of them.
Mm.
And then it's interviews with ourselves, with CJs also, and then it's interviews with like fans of ourselves, like people like Debbie Harry and Talking Heads, and Vernon Reid and Anthrax, and
Mostly people from around New York area?
no, they're people from California too.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's some of the Seymour Stein from Sire Records, and matter of fact, there's a story. There's a thing with that Chris Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
When he was a bouncer or whatever, he used to work with Bill Graham. There's a really funny story about that on the home video too, and it's really well done. It was done well, and now gold is 50,000. So we kind of
So you got a ways to go.
We got screwed. We were like 2,000 away, and now we're like 27,000 away.
Right. Well, let's get everybody out there to go out and pick one up.
And we have a new in the series, the CD series that we have. The next one's coming out May 25th. It's comprised of Rocket to Russia, Road to Ruin.
Okay, that's the re-releases.
Yeah. It's
Jeff
2 for
was
the
mentioning
price of
that to you.
1, because these are hard times, and 4 bonus tracks which have never been released, except for one song, but it's the original version of I Want You Around. That there's another version on the Rock and Roll High School soundtrack. This is the original version, and then there's a bunch of films that we're in this new film called Car 54 that's coming out this summer. It's supposed to be a major summer release, And it's
Based
sort of
on the series?
yeah, it's loosely based around the original TV show of
Uh-huh.
the 50s and 60s, but it's a 90s version, and it was directed by Bill Fishman, who last year he put out that film Tapeheads, and
I've heard of it, I haven't seen it.
I didn't see it, but I heard it was really good, and he also did 4 of our videos in the past. He did Something to Believe In. Was that it? Something to Believe In?
That one I'm not familiar with.
Was that it?
That was
Something to
one,
Believe
yeah.
In?
Okay.
And he did,
That was the one with all the guest appearances.
Right. And I Want to Be
One of the
Sedated,
ones.
and I Want to Live, and Pet Cemetery. He directed those videos.
Okay.
And then we have songs in a bunch of films that are coming out. One called Highway 61, which is directed by this guy named Bruce McDonald, who had done a film called Roadkill. I had a small part in that, and we had a song in that. And it's, I think it's like a brilliant film. It's real. It's a rock and roll film, but not like any rock and roll film I don't think anyone's ever seen. It's really black humor-esque, and I think it's the sickest film I've ever seen. But it's really like autistic, you know. It's like really you know. It's really.
And this isn't a Richard Curran film, or
Nah, actually, it won. It's a Canadian release, and it won Best Film in the Toronto Film Festival in 1989. It was David Cronenberg's favorite film of '89, and it didn't really play in America. It played everywhere else, but not in America. And this is his like second offering, and this one's going to come out here. Hopefully, you'll be able to get Roadkill here soon or something, on video or something.
Yeah, or
And I'll get you guys a copy so you can see it.
Cool.
that'd be great.
And yeah, it's really good. It's really, I mean, everything is tied in with everything else. You know what I mean? It's like amazing.
You gotta pay attention to
You
all
really
the
got to
little
pay
details.
attention.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
but
cool. I like
it's the
stuff
kind
like
of film you watch a couple of times. And every
Uh-huh.
time you see it, you see something new that you didn't see before. And it's really like great, you know. And then also we're supposed to have a song in Terminator 2, but we're waiting to hear, you know, because it's still they're still working on the film, and they said if it's not on the cutting room floor, it'll be in the film.
Well, that tells you a lot.
Yeah, and Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll is the new Eric Bogosian film, and we're supposed to have a song on that too. And then there's some additional stuff. There's a film called Kill Billies that's in the works, and they offered me a role, which I'm kind of excited by. And also, and that was like really kind of brilliantly well thought out. It's a horror film, but it's really clever.
Uh-huh.
And what else? I don't know. We have a Bud commercial out.
A friend of mine was telling me that she had heard you guys on a commercial. I hadn't heard.
Yeah,
about
it's like the wildest thing I've ever seen. It's not like anything you've. And it's really well done. It's really, you know, artistic, and it's funny. It's like clever, you know. And I think it's pretty hip of like the Anheuser-Busch people to ask us, because that's, you know, pretty cool.
You're actually in it?
No,
Or just
we have a
music?
song in it. We didn't want to do anything like that. But it's really well done. It's like we check Budweiser's background to make sure there were no connections with the KKK or any of that stuff, like Coors and Miller.
Yeah.
You know? And they're a real cool company. They're very open-minded, and they're very pro rock and roll. You know, they're very supportive, and that's great. You know.
I guess they do a lot of those spring break things too.
Yeah, but they got a
They
good
don't
product.
mind
I mean,
the product,
you know,
so.
everybody drinks Budweiser, right?
Not us non-beer drinkers, I guess.
Right. And what else is new? I don't know.
No, feed us something. Come on.
I'm sure there's something that I forgot to tell you.
Stiff.
Oh, Steve, yeah.
That's right.
Well, when Steve died, and you know, me and Steve were pretty close, and matter of fact, I remember like the first time I met him, it was in Youngstown, Ohio, at the Tomorrow Theater, and the whole band was there. The Cramps were there too, I remember, and he said, you know, once you guys come over, we're having a party. You want to come, come to, with us, So we said, all right. So he said, well, just follow us, and we'll like show you how to get there, So we were following them, and they were driving about 90 miles an hour, you know, and we were following him. All of a sudden, Bader's like, he climbs out of the driver's side on the roof of the car, and he's like driving the car, but he's on top of the roof, and he like starts mooning us, you know. And I thought at the time this is like the sickest thing I've ever seen. You know? So we became friends, you know. And I got him a show at CBGB's in New York, and it was the first show they had done in New York. And I invited like all the press down and all the really cool people down, like Spin Magazine and all that. And I talked Hilly into giving him getting him a show. And I never, you know, I hadn't seen them yet or nothing, but I just believed that they'd be fucking great, and they were. They were amazing.
From one mooning incident, huh? They landed there.
Yeah, well, it was just pretty wild, you know. It was pretty wild, and we were hanging out at Swingos and all that shit, and it was cool, and I got to be good friends with them, and Steve was very unique. He was, you know, I'm sure a lot of people who don't know the guy would think he's just, you know, whatever, you know, but he's a real sensitive guy, and you know, he was really pretty special. So when he died, you know, it was pretty upsetting, and it was a real shock, you know, that it was him and not, you know, Johnny Thunders or something like that.
He was a little closer to the edge, maybe.
Yeah, it's. So I called Carol, and I told her that, you know, because I knew this new thing he was working on, because he had called me like from Paris and asked me if I wanted to sing on some tracks, and they told me they were bringing Dee Dee out there to work on some songs and stuff, which I heard was like, forget it, you know. And so, you know, I offered to produce and mix the tracks, you know, that he had been working on, and she, you know, was pretty touched, you know, and she, you know, felt that, you know, if anyone understood him, that I'd be, you know, best suited, you know, to do this. And so when we were on the Escape from New York tour this summer, I told Chris Stein about it, and he said, well, let's do it together. So we're gonna do it together, you know. And like, the songs are like the best fucking songs that I'd ever heard. It's like really a shame that he went when he did, because he was really, you know, working on making a comeback. And he had this new band called the Whores of Babylon, and the songs are like great and real, thorough, you know what I mean?
So it wouldn't be a Lord's release then?
No. Actually, the songs are all different. I mean, there's one song called Do You Believe in Magic that is great, really intense and dark and moody and real touching and real very haunting, you know. And it was just, I mean, it was so weird hearing a lot of those songs, because it was almost like he knew he was gonna die.
He anticipated it somehow.
Yeah, because I mean, some of those songs are just really intense and really leave you kind of feeling real strange and very haunting, you know, a lot of them. You know, there was a song called Nobody, and that was really, and then there's a song, but really great song. It sounds a lot like a Heartbreaker song or something. And I guess Johnny Thunders is playing on it too, you know. And actually, this one song, it would be like perfect for Alice Cooper to cover or something. Cause,
really?
I mean, it's great. It's a great song.
Old Alice or new Alice?
Well, I guess new Alice, because I guess that's all there is.
That's all there is
right?
these days, yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
And but yeah, so there was 6 songs that he was working on, and then I've been hearing about a demo, like 20-song demo, and you know, so I haven't heard these songs yet, but I've been hearing it.
So there may be more than the 6 around.
Yeah, well, the last 6 were the masters from the most current stuff he had been working on, and then there's a 20-song demo that I guess has been around for a while because a lot of people said, you know, did you hear this song? Did you hear that song? That he'd been playing songs for
Legendary
people.
underground tapes kind of thing.
Well, not that it got around, but it got around to certain people who, you know, they said, well, have you heard this song? Have you heard that song? You know, so I haven't heard the demos yet, but you know.
Might any of them show up on your project as well, or do you think it'll just stick with the same?
No, it's gonna be a full album,
Oh.
and it's gonna be like, I don't know how many songs are gonna be on the actual thing, but it's gonna be a full, you know, album, and it's gonna be released. I mean, a lot of record companies are interested. Like Sire's interested, and Relativity's interested, and so there's this woman that works at our management. Her name is Andrea Starr, and she's kind of going to be handling the negotiation, you know, as far as
Who will do it?
getting and her and Carol like really good friends and stuff. So, you know, make sure that he gets the best deal. And I heard that Tim Pope wants to do the video for the song "Do You Believe in Magic?"
Really? That would be
Yeah,
interesting.
and I think like she wants to release a whole some kind of a film project to go along with the album and all this stuff. And I guess the money is going to go to his family and this and that. You know?
Really?
Hopefully.
So is there a target date for when it might be out, or is it just whenever?
No, it's just
done?
when it's finished, it will be released because you know we want to make sure that it's great.
It's done right.
Yeah. And so I don't know. So there's a really healthy New York music scene, and there's a lot of great new bands that I think you should know about. A band called the Lunatics and Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, I saw the bass player had a Lunatics.
Yeah, they're great. They're
Yeah.
great, you know. And Cycle Sluts from Hell. And
They've been around a little while.
they've been around. Yeah, they're on tour with Motorhead now in Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
And a
bill
band
for it.
called Crown the Good. They're like one of my favorite new bands. And Manitoba's Wild Kingdom, who have an album out. And they're going to be working on their second album pretty soon. Like Andy, he's been over in Ireland doing this band called the Golden Hordes, and me and him have been working together. We're writing new songs for next Ramones album, which I didn't talk about yet. But we go in September, and we're going in with Ed Stasium. The last album he did with us was Too Tough to Die, and we haven't worked together now in 6 years, and he's been doing Living Color and Motorhead and people like that. And we're excited. You know, we've been writing a lot of great songs, and also Dee Dee's going to contribute like 3 songs, and they're really good songs. So, you know, I mean, we're all getting along pretty decently, I would think, except when Dee Dee badmouths us and talks to Spin Magazine and stuff like that. And
What's Wendy Williams doing?
Wendy?
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know, like I'm gonna have a big party in the fall at the Ritz. I have them from time to time, and I asked Richie Stotts, who's a good friend, if I could get a Plasmatics kind of reunion for the thing, and he spoke to what's that guy's name? You know Wendy and
Rod.
huh?
Rod.
Rod, yeah.
Oh, Rod Swanson.
Yeah, so Rod's really into it, so we're gonna do it.
Cool.
You're
Yeah.
there, right?
So that should be fun. I said we should blow up something really good, you know, like
The Ritz?
the Ritz. Yeah, that's a good idea.
But then you couldn't have any more parties
Yeah, you
there.
could
Well, we'll find
Far from
another
New Again.
place.
Okay. Huh?
Far from New Again.
Far from-
Keep you with the 90s.
Right. I think that's very appropriate. Farfik Nugan and
Is the new album, is it going to be more like old Ramones or like the Animal Boy, Too Tough to Die, Brain Drain kind of stuff?
it's gonna be very exciting. You know, it's gonna be I don't know.
We'll
You know,
just have to wait and see.
You know, I don't
yeah.
know exactly. I know I've been writing a lot of songs for it that I'm really excited by, and they're really really, you know, hard and fast, and they have a lot of depth. And actually, one of the songs I've been writing, it's called Censor Shit, and it's about what all the shit that's going down now with PMRC and just getting worse in America. I mean, it's crazy that the rest of Europe doesn't have any sort of censorship whatsoever, but it's all here, and we're supposed to be the advanced country.
The free country, right.
The free country, the liberated country, and what,
Yeah.
you know, you say, what the fuck's going
You
on?
can't play fuck on the radio. You know.
Right.
Well, at least not. Oh, can
Right,
we say it on a
yeah.
cable show? Oh, okay, we can't say on the cable show.
You can bleep it, right? And well, also I have a radio show, but right now it's temporarily on hold on the Z-Rock network in New York
Oh,
City.
yeah.
And I had there was two. The one I took over this guy's show, and then he asked me if I'd want to do my own show, so I said yeah. And I had, I guess it was in November, and I tried making it as exciting and fun and constructive and you know, as I could, you know, which I think I did. And it was a 3.5-hour show, and we had we had a censorship discussion with the Black Rock Coalition and Rock the Vote and assorted artists. It was me and Mark Ramone and Dick Manitoba and a bunch of people. And I thought it was real intense, and it was real constructive, and because the kind of audience that listens to the Z-Rock network, or I would say around 16, 17 or so, because the kind of radio satellite station that it is leans hard rock, metal, and thrash, and you know, and all these kids, you know, everybody you know wants the music, but I mean, you know, everybody needs to participate so that the music will live on. Let's say. You know what I mean?
We had Z-Rock in Cleveland for a while, and they pulled the plug on it because they said they couldn't get enough advertising or the right kind of advertising. But it wasn't for lack of listeners. You know, I mean, people were going crazy when it went off the air.
It's a great idea, and it's really cool that it's satellite, and I don't know. The show that I had done was really, you know, successful, and I interviewed Lemmy, so I got a really good interview with him, and Richie Stotts, because the Plasmatics and Motorhead had done that Stand By Your Man single years back, and it was really cool. I mean, everything kind of intertwined with each other, and played a lot of really good stuff, turning kids on to like the good older stuff that they probably heard about these bands but never heard their actual music, like the MC5 and, you know.
Well, because just the way the scene is now, there's kids in it who weren't born when some of
they
the early stuff was
born.
coming out.
You know, but so I found the original version of Kick Out the Jams, Motherfuckers, and I started off the show with that, and the Stooges, and the Dictators, and Ramones, and all the good stuff, you know. And then I had Manitoba as my co-host, so it was a lot of fun. And then we interviewed like Cran the Good and Lemmy, and it was just like a lot of fun. We had this curator from this film festival who was showing all these obscure rock films, and Roadkill was a part of that film festival, and it was really the only place I guess it was shown in America.
Wow.
And then some film with John Doe, I think it was called Border Radio, and a bunch of David Byrne, and you know, a bunch of really, you know.
Probably do video for that.
Huh?
Do video. This is what we were talking about in the car. That was Joan Jett is in it, or
Wasn't it like the Runaways?
No, it was
Shit on the
post
All Girl
Runaways.
Band.
Yeah, it was post Runaways with Joan Jett in it, but it was filmed out in the LA scene in like the early '80s. A lot of Ed Culver photographs, flesh it out. But, you know, it's an interesting little film.
Yeah, so it was really good, and then I had gotten after that they wanted me to do live shows from here on in, and I had gotten another hour so I was going to do a 4-hour live show, and I had really good plans for the next one, which I still do. Just that the band got real busy, so now it's on hold. But
you just do it when you can.
yeah, I mean, what happened was, like, right before we left for Spain, the program director, was K-Rock in New York, and Z-Rock, Z-Rock is the sister station of K-Rock in New York. So, like, he wanted me to do a weekly show, and I was kind of honored by that he wanted me to do a weekly show, but I just didn't have the time, you know. So, like, I mean, a monthly show was hard enough because there was like 3 weeks of preparation and this and that, pre-production and all that. I guess the fact that the show was on tape, you know, live to tape. And I had gotten a great interview with Johnny Lydon too. Like, I invited him over to my house, and you know, and he drank about 10 cases of beer, and he was just like spewing, you know. It's like a lot of people said, well, he won't talk about the Sex Pistols, but he talked about everything, man. And I got like the best fucking interview, you know. And that was gonna be like after Motorhead. That was gonna be, you know, I was gonna like feature like an artist on the show, like do like an hour spotlight with words and music, you know, sort of the spoken gospel of whoever, you know what I mean? And so like for the next show, which I'm still gonna do, like probably, you know, in the summer or something, when things ease up a bit, and I had a really good idea for doing a show like with an, you know, like featuring like an A&R person, or, you know, and have a phone-in thing where kids can, because kids are always giving me their tapes and asking me, well, what's the best way to break into the
how do you
business?
get heard?
Who do you, you know, who do you talk? You know what I mean? So this way, you know, they could call and talk to like the first A&R guy I was going to have is a friend of mine named Kevin Patrick. He's head of Island Records, you know, and Michael Olargo, who signed Metallica to Elektra, and so, you know, they could ask them the questions directly, and you know, find out if they should hang it up or they should, you know, whatever. And then we were gonna have like play Jukebox Jury, which was a show in England, and have like, it was gonna be me, Kevin, and Lisa Robinson, and maybe someone who books, you know, one of the Ritz or the Marquee or whatever, and like spin like, you know, the new releases and kind of critique them, and then like spin like demos that we would get, and, you know, in supporting like New York bands,
Right,
you know?
right.
And
alternative radio is really good for that. That's, you know, for helping bands get heard. I mean,
right. So, I mean, in New York, there's really no radio.
Really?
Radio's pretty awful, you know.
Cleveland has wonderful college radio. We've got like 2 really strong stations.
Oh, that's great.
Of course, I have to support one because I'm with it, but you know.
No, that's good, because it seems like a lot of college radio now is competing with the mainstream radio because for
they just
job
want
placement and all this shit, and the ratings and, you know, whatever.
Right.
That's like crazy, you know, because college radio was the only thing you could really count on, you know.
I
because,
know.
You know, when because radio's pretty awful for the most part. You know?
And it can be good. It really sucks that it isn't so much of the time because there's so much out there. There's so much that could be heard.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
It's not hard to program really decent
Well, it
stuff,
seems
but-
that it's, in a lot of ways, it's more the individual. Like there's a DJ in New York named Vince Scelsa who has a really unique radio show. So,
I'm worried about the
I thought he died.
right, Mr. Cleaver. So, yeah, so like, well, this guy Vince Scelsa, he's got a show that goes from 8 in the evening till 2 in the morning, and it's like, and it's like a real mixed kind of thing. I mean, like 1 minute he'll be playing Motorhead, next minute he'll be playing like Pete Seeger or something like that, you know. And it's just really, and he just has, it's a real educational, you know, show. I mean, I learned a lot from it. I mean, this radio used to turn you on to new ideas and exciting new kinds of music and bands and
the
people.
earliest punk stuff, that's where I got turned on to it, you know.
Yeah,
Back when MMS would take a chance on things.
Cosmetics.
Yeah, or like Patti Smith and stuff, that's where I first heard all of that, you know.
I know when I was growing up, I guess a few years earlier than the AM band, that's where I got turned on to on everything, And,
Yeah.
and then traveling around the country, like with the Ramones, getting, like hearing MMS or hearing K-San in San Francisco used to be a great station, or K-Rock in LA still is a great station. Rodney Bingenheimer's show, and
But you drive across the country and you really get thankful for a tape player in the car,
Oh yeah,
Really.
no, you gotta have a
Huge
tape player.
distraction.
You gotta have a tape player, or else you'll suffer.
Even coming Cleveland to Columbus, we had to have a tape player,
Yeah, like we got this guy who's driving. He's helping Monty drive, and he has like the CD that has an adapter that you hook on, and you can use the CD.
Oh, you
Not
plug
that
it
it
in?
sounds any good, but
Well,
yeah, but it's cool.
it's another option.
Yeah, it's another option, right? So, that's really where I really get to hear music is in the van.
Mhm.
And we travel in a van because it's like then you really feel like you're on the road when you're in a van because you're
Yeah.
closer to the road
Feel
itself.
those bumps and potholes.
And you feel all the bumps, and you know that you're on the road. If you're in a tour bus, you'll miss this, Yeah, so on the long drives, that's where I really, we'll listen to all kinds of different types of bands and different kinds of things, and it's and that's where I really get to, because I think I enjoy listening to music more when you're traveling, because also you got nothing to do. So,
Yeah, as long as you're not, well, even when you are driving, you can still keep an ear on it, but, if you're not, then you really just pay attention to it,
I mean, we each have our own row, and you kind of lay back and it's exciting.
Do you often listen to your own stuff?
Yeah, on occasion. I mean, usually I don't listen to us, because, after a long tour or so, you really don't want to listen to any music, because you just been hurt enough, But
give a couple weeks for your ears to stop ringing.
yeah, but while you're on tour, it's like, it's exciting to hear new stuff. And CJ's really cool like that, because being, I guess, the youngest, he's like really into all kinds of stuff.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's really open-minded. I mean, we're open-minded too, but it's a little when you get on a bit, it's like, you're not so enthusiastic.
Every new thing.
Right, it's more, certain periods that you really want to hear. I mean, CJ really turns me on to all kinds of stuff. I've heard a lot of new bands that I maybe,
Might have missed.
Like, and some of them are good and some of them are whatever,
Well, there's a lot out there too to try and get through it all, and pay attention to remember what was this one that you heard that you liked, and what was the other one that.
And then I can turn him on to stuff that he's not familiar with too. And he's like really, really open. I mean, he's really broad-minded, And I don't know. Like I heard, when we were touring Australia recently, we had that band, the Hard-Ons, on tour with us, and they're great. They're a lot of fun, and the new album is really good. It's really good. And so it was funny because they play with us every night, but I didn't get to hear their newest album they have out there, and it's really good. Yeah. I said, wow, I wish I would have heard it when we were on tour with them, so I could tell them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm not. I guess the newest thing I've heard that I really, love is the new Jane's Addiction album, and the new Motorhead album's great too. But
What I've heard of it, I would like. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet.
well, I like that Ramone song. I think that's the best song on the record.
A lot of people don't seem to know about that yet. I mentioned it to people here and there. They're like, "What? Wow, Motorhead."
Yeah. And let me say, well, you guys got to write a song about us now.
I was wondering if that was in the offing,
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
He already wrote a song about that. I mean, Motorhead goes back to Hawkwood.
Well, that was Hawkwood, yeah.
Right.
That's where we got the name.
Right. But then I think they redid it, didn't they?
Well, they got the name Motorhead from that guy in Frank Zappa's band, the bass. What's that guy's name?
Oh.
I forgot the guy's name,
I know who you
something
mean.
Motorhead. He was like,
I can even see the guy's picture from the
guy
album.
with
But I can't.
Yeah, just maybe take it off the hook or something.
That screwdriver, you take it apart. The ringer's kind of broken.
Really, they look like they'd be one level, but then when you hit them, they drop, you know. But, I don't know, I think I've exhausted my story. Questions,
Okay.
comments,
That's been my
cliches.
question.
Yes.
Forget.
About Rock and Roll High School, Cheap Trick was the original band that they were going to get to do the soundtrack. How do you feel? That my face
How do I feel?
How do you feel about the difference, the music? You think they could have pulled that?
I don't think they
movie
could
out?
have pulled it off because they're too egocentric, I think. Cheap Trick, you know? And I don't think that. I mean, I've always been a big Cheap Trick fan. I mean, I got into them in '76, and I used to like them. I like their older stuff, you know. But I really don't think that they would have pulled it off the way we did, you know, because
They just have
They
such a
don't have a
different
real cult
personality.
following.
no, they
Cult
don't.
status.
I don't even know
Yeah.
what kind of following they got, you know. They just like don't click in with, you know. I mean, they're you can like them, but you just.
Is it
it's like-
because they're just too much of rock stars?
I think they're too big of like Rick Nelson and all.
They're more a manufactured
Rick
personality
Nielsen,
than
yeah.
an authentic.
Yeah, they're not
you know.
authentic, and I don't think that they really click in with kids.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that
Even then, you know, because, I mean, I was in high school when that stuff was out, and they kind of went right by me. I don't know. They were all right, but.
Well, I really
It's
liked
other funny music I
you know,
listened
In
to.
Color and the first album. And I liked the earlier stuff. You know, I mean, they
Face was
were
a good album.
they were good. They were good. I mean, I mean, the thing I liked about them was that a lot of the bands that I like were in their music, or they were in their music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Who and all that stuff, and the Beatles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's probably had a lot to do why they were like a hard Beatles or something, right? But
Maybe.
I don't know. What were they? Well, they were good though. I like them. You know, I mean, but they really are. Now you don't even hear about them anymore, right?
Now they're just
recently.
bad.
They're just
They
bad.
got back together, but it's I don't know, it's just the sellout commercial rock that they
Can't
sound
shit
like
down,
everybody
buddy.
else.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they were good for that time period, for the 70s. They were
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh, I like them. I always liked Rick Nielsen. I always thought he was a really talented writer, and Robin Zander was, had a really good voice, and they were exciting. They were fun, and Bunny, he was, he's a cool guy. He's a record collector,
Yeah.
and the other guy, whatever.
Carlos.
No,
Huh?
that was,
Carlos.
that
Carlos?
was Buddy Carlos.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and
There's a fourth
and then
guy.
there was that other guy,
Tom Peterson.
Tom Peterson, right?
The,
But they're like a
the
bunch
player of the 12th string
They're-
bass.
They're phonies.
Okay.
They're phonies. Like I hung out with them once or twice, and back when we used to do drugs and shit.
I somehow can't see Riff Randall camping out for 3 days for Rick Nielsen though. It's
Especially when she would find out that he's got no hair, right?
Is that why he wears that hat all the time?
Right.
Yep.
And,
What was it like making that movie though?
Well, you know what was funny about like with Stephen King and ourselves, right? Like Stephen, every time he'd have a book party in New York, he'd contact us to come by there because he's a big Ramones fan and we're big Stephen King fans, and so like he'd always invite us to his book party so we could finally meet each other, but we'd always be on the road, so finally in 1984 he promoted a concert in Bangor, Maine, which is his home, and it was us and Cheap Trick, right? And so and it was good. It was a really good show, and I remember he invited us out for dinner afterwards, and then over to his house, you know. But he didn't invite, you know, Rick Nielsen or Cheap Trick, you know, which I thought was pretty funny, you know. And like it really bugged that Rick. He was very upset about that, but he deserved it. But that's my cheap Trick story. So what about Rock and Roll High School?
Yeah, what was it like actually making the movie? I mean, it looked like it was great fun. The movie itself is a riot to watch, but it looks like it must have been like great fun to make.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, you know. I mean, it was cool because everybody was really cool on the set, and Mary Warner was great, and you know, everybody's really cool, you know. But making a film is just, you know, there's a lot of sitting around and a lot of waiting time and, you know, long hours and but it was a new experience for us. I mean, you know, we had never done anything like that before, and it was really cool. It was you know, but it was very time consuming, you know.
Were you surprised that you were asked to do it?
It was like kind of an honor, the fact that it was Roger Corman, and we were always big Roger Corman fans, you know. We're always big, you know, kind of B film type fans and stuff, you know. And he's king of the B's, like, you know, and it was really cool, you know, going out to LA, which, you know, we had been out there, but we were kind of based there now for well, it took about, I guess it was 3 weeks to do the stuff we had done, and then right after that we did the album with Phil Spector, so we went back to New York, and then we worked our way back out to LA, and then we kind of based ourselves in the Tropicana Hotel for about 3 months, and did the album with Phil, you know. And the thing that was wild about it was to kind of keep the money coming in, you know, so that we could base ourselves out there. We did a kind of a tour with Black Sabbath, and which was it was kind of, well, it was like we had that's when Sawyer merged with Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers, and we had just gone with Premier Talent, and it was funny, like, well, it wasn't funny, but for a lot of years we couldn't get a booking agent, you know, like, I think we went through all of them, and a lot of strange situations, and then so like Warner Brothers felt this would be a good way for us to get more mass exposure, go out with Black Sabbath. And we tried to tell them we didn't think it was a very good idea, but they thought, oh, they know better than us, so, you know, we kind of said, okay, you know. So the first show we had done was in Atlanta at the Omni, and it was like, you know, I guess playing like Madison Square Gardens or something like that. And it was Black Sabbath, Van Halen, and ourselves. And it was the tour that Van Halen were out opening up for. Huh?
78 tour.
Yeah, they were out opening for Sabbath, and I remember.
It's Ozzy's last tour.
Right. Well, the thing with Sabbath in those days, I mean, they would never, you know, they were very strange towards us. You know what I mean? We never, you know, actually even seen, you know, they were weird. Van Halen were really cool though. We got to be friends with them, and they were cool. But they were only on that one show with us, you know. And then when we did a bunch of shows out in California with them, and it was a very strange pairing, you know. And I remember like one show. This was probably when people say, you know, you have that one memorable show where it was maybe a total fiasco or whatever, you know. And this is the one show that, you know, is like, I guess, the most memorable when people say, well, you know, you have any really good stories about that one show, you know? So like, we were playing out in San Bernardino, and that's like real redneck out in California. It's like, farmers and motorcycle farmers, and so we were out,
Those hard
and like
farms.
the promoter that built it, you know, the like the brilliance of this promoter, he built it, the heavy, the kings of heavy metal versus the kings of punk rock, to make it kind of like a battle, you know,
Battle
or
of
something,
bands, right?
which was a really good way to promote a show, you know. So like, so we go on, you know, and like, you know, the fact that they have a few more fans than we do, right? Like,
Especially at that time.
yeah, well, especially at that time, because that was, well, whenever
Well,
that
it was 78,
It's
you
about
know.
78, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I remember clearing parties out with the first Ramones album, you know, around then. All these stoner kids, you put that on and they just like, you know, couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Well, it was, I mean, I don't know. It was sometimes, I mean, we would always headline our own shows and that would work out great. But like there was one period when, you know, like the promoters, or I don't know, for some reason people thought we should, you know, kind of go out on a bill.
Uh-huh.
So we did some
Get that
strange
all-important
bills, you
exposure.
know, right. We did some weird bills. We did a bill with Foreigner and Minnesota. It was like 19 below zero. I remember, like, the place was just frozen over, and but we had 1,000 fans up front, so
That's cool.
it worked out really good. And we went out with Toto and
These are getting better.
in St. Charles, Louisiana, or some. That was weird because the audience just like looked at us and like we were from out of this world. that was like, you know, and it took us like 10 hours to get there from where we were. We didn't even want to do it, and it was like we just played 9 shows in a row, and it would be the 10th show, and we went out there, and like it was like, you know, ridiculous, you know. But we had a really good I don't know, we had a good food fight in the dressing room that night. I remember that, you know. And all right, so getting back to this the story, the Black Sabbath story, right? So we went out, we started playing, and in front of us were all these like motorcycle like farmer types, you know, and a lot of them were like drinking like these you know, those eighth of, you know, fifth of whiskey, those kind of, you know.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, they'd kind of be acting like they were going to throw them at you, but not letting them go, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so we were, you know, so we were playing, and I guess we were like about 20 minutes in, and in those days, you know, when you're opening up, you do a shorter set and the whole bit, you know. And I guess about Surfing Bird, all of a sudden, like, everything in the world came at us, you know, like these whiskey bottles and carburetors and spark plugs, but you know, we were able to dodge all these implements coming at us, and you know, nobody got hit or hurt or anything, and then like somebody threw an ice pick and it landed right by John's foot, and we just said, you know, decided it's time to fucking
Enough
go.
of that.
So we gave him the finger and we walked off the stage, and there was this like 95-year-old stage manager, you know, and he was like backstage, and he said the last time I saw a reaction like that was the first time the Rolling Stones played America. So that was kind of a real compliment, you know what I mean? So that kind of made you feel good, you know.
Motorhead kind of got that response in Cleveland when they opened up for Ozzy Osbourne's first solo tour and everything. They played at Music Hall, a little 3,000-seat place. And it was the first time Motorhead had been here, and people were there to see Ozzy Osbourne and stuff, and they booed Motorhead off the stage. And that was, he kind of flipped the fans off that night too. Lemmy did. That was kind of funny.
Well, it was hard for us in those days because there really was nothing like us, and all there was in America was metal, heavy metal, like, you know, like Ted
Or
Nugent
dinosaur
and
rock, you
Aerosmith,
know?
yeah, the dinosaur stuff, you know.
Right,
But that's
like
what
Zeppelin,
was
Aerosmith.
happening. I remember we did a festival in Toronto that was I guess something like what you were talking about with like what happened to Motorhead. It was like, I don't know why they put us on this festival at all, because it was like it was it was like a monsters of, you know, heavy metal monsters kind of thing. And it was like, I think this tour probably circulated around America too. It was Ted Nugent and Aerosmith and Black Sabbath and.
I think that one played
With
the
yeah,
stadium.
there were 6 bands on the bill. It was Aerosmith, Ted Nugent, Thin Lizzy, Scorpions, first time in America, Foreigner, and
somebody else.
one other band.
And the Ramones.
So anyway, so like we're playing Blue Jay Stadium, and they flew us up, you know, just to play the show, and it was pretty impressive, you know, like they like really taking good care of you and really kind of looking after you. And then it was time for us to go on, and they sent us a limousine. Well, where the stage was to where the dressing room, because it's very large, so they drive you out to the stage, right? And then we got up there, and you know, and it was kind of scary because it was like, you know, it was a giant baseball stadium.
7,500,000
And
people.
also the fact that it was billed as a metal show, and we're not a metal band, or weren't, you know, a metal band or whatever the fuck. So we go out and start playing, and I don't think these people knew what to expect, you know, because you know, like one band would kind of sludge by, and then the other band would kind of sludge by, and like and then we're going on, and you know, and there's you know what I mean, and all of a sudden, like they started, bags of bologna sandwiches were coming up there, and all kinds of shit was coming up there, you know, and you know, and we walked off, and it was, you know, and John, you know, right, and the whole bit, and it was, you know, kind of degrading, you know what I mean, and then we went back, and then Steven Tyler came back, and you know, he was pretty cool, you know, and he was getting off on it and all this, and then I realized what a little guy he is, very tiny. I think he's bigger now than he used to be. I don't know. I mean, I remember he was kind of short.
Well, you look down on everybody, though.
No, but I just saw him recently, and he's bigger now. And he's got the biggest mouth I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, but those days are kind of over, and things are like totally different now than they were then.
Well, you could probably get away on a bill like that today, with the stuff that you're doing.
With the equivalent bands of today, which would be something like maybe Guns N' Roses,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, like
now.
all those bands now have all kind of. I mean, rock and roll has really changed now. I mean, it's just it's a blend now of, you know, like where punk and metal and this and that. You know, I mean, everything is kind of a blend. Like, you know, it's like with Metallica and all, and that's what's the accepted metal now. I mean, it's bands like, you know, Metallica and Megadeth and, you know, and Motorhead.
Which were almost the punk rock of metal bands a few years ago.
Yeah, right. I mean, the sludge doesn't make it nowadays, and so I mean, the Ramones, are, you know, I mean, a lot of people, because of the connection between punk and metal, you know, I mean, a lot of we're considered in some circles as punk metal or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And
well, really, it's never
Speed
been
punk.
all that far apart musically, but just people would get into their camps. It's like,
Well,
oh, if you're
people-
punk rock, well, you know.
Well, that was always too, like in Europe. I mean, everyone's very open-minded, and it's the music, not you know. I mean, barriers just fuck it up for everybody. You know what I mean? And in America, there was always barriers. Well, if you played this, then we can't like if you play this. You're gonna like if you play that. You know what I mean? And you know, if you play metal, then you can't play punk. But you know, if you're a punk band, then we can't like you if you play metal. It's like real stupid. You know,
Yeah.
real.
Well, it's still kind of like that in
ignorant,
Cleveland.
You know?
It's like a lot of the punk kids like metal bands, but like the strict metal kids, a good number of them, it's like really
Don't like
hate
the
the punk
punks,
bands.
yeah.
You know, and it's like they wouldn't get caught dead in a show.
Until
Or-
their favorite metal band shows up wearing one of their T-shirts, then suddenly it becomes acceptable. You know, it's like.
I think like the wildest thing about us too, I guess in the early, well, when things started like, you know, moving along, I mean, you'd see all these kids with like Ozzy Osbourne shirts and Aerosmith shirts and this shirt and that shirt. You know, you knew that these kids were like seeing you for the first time. And when they left, they were fans, you know, and that was like the coolest thing. And I mean, it's always sort of been that way where our fans are from all different walks of life and different backgrounds and different musical backgrounds. I mean, you know, like I remember some of the wildest things where I remember once we were in. I don't know, we were at a 7-Eleven or something, some kid came up and he said, my 2 favorite bands are you guys and the Grateful Dead, you know? But
I saw a kid wearing a Dead shirt tonight, and I was thinking...
You know, but in a lot of ways there's a real definite similarity as far as like, you know, the Dead always, you know, stuck by, you know, they always, I mean, like they're, you know, sort of in the cult kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
they are who they are, and you know
right, you know who they are, and you know who we are, you know, and they always stuck by their guns too, and you know, and they did it their way. So I, you know, give them a lot of credit. I mean, I respect anybody who fucking was doing something, you know, that they stuck to their vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that they continue to believe in.
Right, something that they believe in. I mean, it doesn't really. I'm not one. Well, you know, I like liking this, not liking that. You know, I mean, it's like, I don't know. You know, whatever.
Huh? Sounds good to me.
Shall we call it a wrap?
Why don't we do that? So just.
Okay. Do we have a sign off? I don't know.
Just basically, you know, this is.
So you have to tell me what to do. I'm a novice.
Basically, this has been Sadie.
Okay, I've been Sadie. I will continue to be Sadie, and you will continue to be Joey Ramone. And this will continue to be VidMag Television, won't it? But the interview is over.